Who is he that says always, there is a lion in the way? Sluggard, thou must slay the lion then. The way has to be traveled. This is a quote coming to you from Thomas Carlyle, the Scottish philosopher. Now, before getting into our text for this broadcast, I want us to just look at this quote from Thomas Carlyle. Let's look at it a second time. Here he is asking, who's the one that's always going around saying, there's a lion in the way, there's a lion in the way? Then we find out that he addresses that person. He says, oh, it's the sluggard. Well, he says, okay, sluggard, if there's a lion in the way, then slay the lion. Slay him, because the way has to be traveled, no matter what. You have to travel this road. You have to get through. So do something, sluggard, because the way has to be traveled. Now that is an introduction to our message today, entitled, There is a Lion in the Way. And our main text is going to come out of Proverbs 22:13 and Proverbs 26:13. Okay, first we'll look at Proverbs 22:13, which says, the slothful man saith, there is a lion without, I shall be slain in the streets. Then we go to Proverbs 26:13, and we see almost similar exact wording. It says, the slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way, a lion is in the streets. Now, looking at these scriptures, we notice that the main character is the slothful man, and he is doing something. He's speaking. Well, what is he saying? He's saying, there's a lion without. There's a lion in the way. There's a lion in the streets. There's a lion out there. Oh, there's a lion out there. And then he says, I'm going to be slain in the streets because of this lion. Now, you have to ask yourself, well, where is his focus? Is it on the Lord, or is it on the lion? Obviously, it's on the lion, because he keeps talking about it, and it actually has terrified him to the point where he said, I shall be slain in the streets. Now, when Solomon wrote these Proverbs, he was talking about the lion, but I believe he was trying to set up a metaphor here, meaning that the lion stands for a great difficulty, a terrible difficulty, something that's too much for the slothful man to overcome in his own strength, that he doesn't have the strength to attack this dreadful enemy, and it's more than he can face on his own. Well, you have to ask yourself, where did he come up with this focus? Where did it stem from? Why is his focus on the lion? And as you study the verse, you see it comes from his own slothfulness. The slothfulness caused him to focus on the lion, or the great difficulty. Now, some, when reading these verses, say that this was all a figment of his imagination, that he just let his imagination run wild. But I want us to look at the second stand, where people have said it stands for an actual lion, or an actual difficulty in his way. That this is not something that he just thought of or imagined. That there is a difficulty. There is a lion in his way. But because of his slothfulness, this has caused this difficulty and danger to become exaggerated, unduly or unrealistically magnified. So there is a lion, there is a difficulty in his way, but it's just so exaggerated, so magnified because of his slothfulness. Now, we're going to take this a little further. Using these scriptures, I want you to follow along with me. And we're going to set up an analogy between the sluggard faith versus the active faith. Now, this is not going to be a message to you, are you a sluggard? But it is a message to you, asking you, do you have a sluggard faith or an active faith? Now you say, well, what does that mean, a sluggard faith? Well, it means a lethargic, procrastinating, sluggish, inactive faith. Something apathetic, asleep, idle. In other words, you're not using your faith. It's just there. You're not using it like you should. Versus an active faith. This is a faith that's alive. It's lively, animated. It's working. It's moving things. It's doing something. Okay? And then out of these verses, we also see that the sluggard faith is a passive faith. This sluggard man, the slothful man, he allows that lion or that difficulty to hinder him. He's allowing that lion, that difficulty, to limit him, to cripple him, to make him useless in the kingdom of God, to cause him to shrink back. And here he is. He's supposed to be a believer. You're talking about us as believers. We have Christ in us, the hope of glory. Greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world. And to have a sluggard faith, the church to have a sluggard faith, this is ridiculous. This to allow difficulties to hinder, cripple us, to stop us. Whereas the active faith is an aggressive faith. This is one that confronts the lion, comes up against it, faces up to it, meets it eyeball to eyeball, stands up to that lion or that difficulty or that great evil. The sluggard faith, we also get from these scriptures, the sluggard faith causes you to see the difficulty as being bigger than God. And it also fills your heart with fear. And we see that from the man. He says, there's a lion without. I shall be slain in the streets. Great fear there. Whereas the active faith causes you to see God as bigger than the difficulty. And it fills your heart with confidence. Now, just in case you might think, well, the lion is no big deal. It's just this difficulty in the way. We don't want to minimize that lion. There's a reason why Solomon used the word lion. And just to help you along to get the picture of this lion, that it is a great, ferocious evil standing in this way. Psalm 7:2, David said, lest he tear my soul like a lion, rending it in pieces while there is none to deliver. Now, here David is comparing his enemy coming against him like a lion, the king of the beasts that's known for his authority, power, might, wrath, and cruelty. He's painting a picture here. He's saying that my enemy, lest he tear my soul, my enemy is ferocious. He is I'm facing great peril here. There's danger, the fierceness of the wrath of my enemy. And then he says, rending it in pieces while there is none to deliver. This denotes complete destruction unless God intervenes. So we see that this lion that's in the way of the sluggard, it's no little kitty cat. It is a big, a large and ferocious difficulty, evil standing in this way. Then Psalm 22:21 says, David said, save me from the lion's mouth. Now the power, or let's say the danger of the lion is in his mouth.